Percentile, rank, and rank. Okay, percentile rank is really about what percentage of people you defeated, and rank is about where you are, where number one is the best. If you think about when there were sports being played and people were saying we're number one, you know, they don't walk around saying we're number 0, they say we're number 1, we're the best, we're the top. So the highest, best score you can get for ranking would be number 1. With the percentile rank, the highest you can get would be up there near 100%, but you can't beat 100% of the people in the field, so 99 would be where it would tend to be. I mean, if you've got thousands of people, there might be a case for making that you beat 100% of the field, but you never actually beat 100% of the field. If you are the lowest ranking student in a class of 10 students, to make it simple, then your class rank would be 10. You're like, oh wow, you made the top 10 in your class. But then when someone finds out that you were 10th in a class of 10, they might realize that you beat no one and your percentile ranking was actually 0. So let's look at how both of these play out. Both require the data to be put in order. A low number is good for rank. It's called rank from the top. Number 1 is best. Not a question mark, an exclamation point. All right. A high number is good for a percentile. And without getting into those really weird situations where you have so many people that you might consider putting that 99 is best. Percentile describes the percentage of the group who did not do as well as you. Rank tells your position in line. So when people often talk about class rank, well, oh, I was number 2 in my class. I'm in a tiny school in Maine where there are 5 students in my class, but I was number 2, I was salutatorian. Well, that will come up with rank. You'll come up as number 2. But what percentage of the people did you actually beat? If you're number 2 in a class of 5, well, you didn't beat the valedictorian, you did not defeat yourself. There were 3 people behind you. So 3 out of 5, 60%, you'd be in the 60th percentile. So percentile is helpful for ranking where you are as placement in the line percentage-wise, and rank tells where you are purely in the line where number 1 is the best. So let's take a look at what we have. The general question is, Susan is placed in the 80th percentile. Okay, is that good? Well, you know, she beat 80% of the class, that's what that means. What percent did she outscore? That's a who is buried in Grant's tomb type of question. 80. She beat 80%. What percent did better than her? You'd think it's 20. But she's one of the students. If it's a small class, that might not be the case. So we don't like to ask this kind of question. There's 80% of the class who she did clearly better than. Then there's a spot for her. So let's go like this. There's 80% of the class. Then there's Susan. And then there's the rest. Her class contained 60 students. starts to matter. Okay. So 80% of 60 students is going to put 48 here. Susan is there, right? So 49. And that means 11. 11, and now with 60 students, each student gets, let's see, 160, about 1.67%. 1 divided by 60. Yeah. So out here we're going to have like 18.3%. It gets a little tricky to ask a question that way in small groups. When you have a large group, if you have 1,000 students, then she beat 80% and she probably had 20% beat her. So that number comes into play. We're not going to look at the details of that. Her class contains 60 students. Put another question mark there. Her class contains 60 students. How many did she outperform? Well, there you go. You can say she's got 80%, 80 over 100 times 60 students, and she beat 48. So that you can get. Now we know 6 students out of 60, we know that there's 60 students, and we know that 48 she beat, 1 is herself, that's 49. She beat 11 students. Now we have to find out what is it that are 11%, 11 out of 60. So we've got 11 students that defeated her, divided by 60, and that's going to be 18.3333%. So it gets a little tricky like that. But the two things showing up is students. We can find Susan's rank here, where 11 students were higher than her in ranking. She's 12th, right? There are 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They rank up there, and she comes in the 12th, and then there are 48 behind her. So we can find her rank like that as well. What we're going to do now is put together a list of 10 scores. We're going to put them in order, and we're going to do some percentile ranking, and we're going to do some ranking by how they are ranked, and also look at what certain scores turn up in what positions. We might give you the position and go find the score. We might give you the score and go find the position. But these are the kinds of things that come up in here, and you'll see how the rankings play out. Here's what we've got. The scores have come in for how students did. On the score where you can score up to 40%. We got a 35, and a 40, and a 34, and a 38, and a 37, and a 27, and a 33, and a 25, and a 39, and a 36. And what we want to do is put them in order. So we'll look in the 20s and we'll see 25 and 27. So there's the lowest, right, 27. And then for the 30s, we got 34, 5, 3, 33, 34, and 35. And this is 5, and this is 1 as they're entering in. Now we'll put a break, and we'll put the 6th position. We got 36, 37, 38, 39, and 40. There's the 10th. So lined up from worst to best, right? Now we can put their rank. This is number 1, this is number 5, this is number 6, and this is 10th out of 10. But now they're in order, and we can get to work on that. And we can answer questions like this. What's the percentile rank of a score of 38? Find the percentile rank of the score 38. 38, right there. Okay. What we've seen here is now beat all those 5, and this 6, and that's 7. So 7 defeated out of 10 times 100%, 70%, 70th percentile. And now we can look at the next one. What's the rank score of a 34? Percentile rank of the score 34. So 34 is right here, having defeated 1, 2, 3, right? 1, 2, and 3 are worse. Don't count the person themselves. So 3. 3 out of 10 times 100%. 30%. And what you'll be doing is finding how many people specifically and exactly did they defeat out of how many people were in the class to get you set up to multiply by 100%, and you wind up with them. So whatever your numbers come up with, you'll come up with a number that turns out to be somewhere between 0 and 100. Let's look at quickly what the percentile would be for the person who got the 25, the worst score. How many did they beat? 0. 0 divided by 10 is still 0 times 100%. They'll get a percentile score of 0. Let's look at the top ranking person in this small class, the person with the 40. They beat 9 people out of 10. 9 out of 10 creates 90%. So even though they got the top score, it looks like, 10% of the class beat them. No one beat them. And that's what happens when you have small classes. Now, if you have 1,000 people, right, and this is where you wind up, and you wind up at the top, then you might find yourself right up there at the top, where you beat 999 out of 1,000, didn't beat yourself, and therefore you're not 100, you get the 99th percentile. Let's look at what else can happen. What score has a percentile rank of 50? We're not looking for a score of 50, there is no score of 50. What score has the percentile rank of 50? And then I'm going to ask you a question about this small class. Who beat 50% of their class? 1, 2, 3, 5, right? You want 50%, so you're going to go with 50 out of, let's see, you want 50% of your class of 10, you got to beat 5. So you have to beat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that is this 36. Score of 36, beat half the class. Is that person perfectly in the middle? Small class, answer is no. Perfectly in the middle would be right between these two. So actually, this person beat 5 and lost out to 4. That's what happens in small classes. Those kind of numbers can come out and show that to you. What is the rank from the top of 37? First, second, third, fourth. Fourth in the class. Now that rank would go out and say, I'm ranked 4th in my class. You may not say I'm ranked 4th in my class of 10. The percentile wouldn't tell you exactly where you're ranked unless you know both the class size and the rank. So what we have is rank is an absolute scale where 1 is the best, and percentile is a relative scale where 0 is the worst. Right? You want to get a high score, you want to beat a lot of people when you're going for a high rank, a high performance. You want to have a high percentile, you want to have a low number for your rank. So defining the same process in different ways. One is relative, based on percent, so you can always tell where someone falls within the spread of their school, or absolutely where they rank among however many there are in their class. Angela scored in the 70th percentile. In her class of 60. How many people did not do as well as her? Sorry, 70% of 60. 70 over 100 times 60, which 42. 42 people did not do as well as her, so let's set that up. She's got 60 people. Here we've got 42, then we've got Angela, and then we've got the rest to get ourselves to 60. Because Angela is here in the 43, right, going from the bottom, she's 43, there are actually 60 minus 43, 17 people. And I can ask you how many people did better than Angela. The answer is 17, because in this small group, 42 did worse than her. She is 1 to take up 43, and then you do 60 minus 43, and you see that 17 people did better than her. Small class processes. If the numbers get big enough, then your own presence in there won't change your numbers at all in percentile, but they'll always be varied by rank. And that's what we have for percentile rank. You'll see some more in the homeworks.